So yeah, he's just basically said he's a survivalist, so he's going all the way to the, the wacky right. And he even talks about, he said something about the Second Amendment. And of course these guys, everybody's just going to forget about that qualifying first sentence of the Second Amendment. They just ignore the circumstances that existed and the fact that fucking phrase exists there, the whole militia crap and everything, because it was a qualification, because they were basically saying, look, we might have to change the law in the future because, of circumstances. And so this is the qualifier. This is why we're making the freedom absolute right now, but maybe it won't be absolute forever. And, but no, let's not even pay any attention to that. Let's just stay back in 82, and we'll just live there forever, and we won't progress or advance or do anything pragmatic and reasonable. Alright, so then he did a video today I didn't even watch. I stopped where he went into, he basically made the statement that Dawkins is a cult leader. And so I stopped the video right there because I said, oh, there's no way, I gotta, I'll listen to this later and then I'll make a video about it. But come on, I mean, damn it. I mean, why don't you quote Dawkins? Why don't you quote a bunch of this Dawkins cult dogma that he's preaching? What a pile of shit. I mean, just absolute shit. I mean, Dawkins has given us great tools here. I mean, he's given us a nice, concise way of looking at our evolution and what's taking place in human societies. I mean, he's not only explained our selfish gene and a major part of our psychology, and the fact that this is the consequence of evolution, is that we are all aspects, all dynamics within our psychology are probably going to be written by this genetic code that only has this consumption reproduction mechanism built into it. And then the second part of it was this meme thing, even though I don't like the word, but this idea that ideas are now evolving. It's a necessary thing for people to understand that they are not just one brain, that they are a native psychology, a native disposition, a natural disposition, that they are a conditioned mind over their maturation, their first 15 or 16 or whatever years. And then they are an intellect that acquires knowledge, and that knowledge gets transferred between us, and it evolves over time, and it cycles, and it does advance and progress, and we become more and more aware and more capable of understanding our world. And that's very important that evolution of ideas takes place. These are important fucking concepts, and this asshole trivializes it all, just says, yeah, he's a cult leader. I mean, fuck you, fake Sagan. Go pray to whatever you're praying to now, your chaos god, or whatever it is. But what a pile of puke. Dawkins is a cult leader. Fuck you. Jesus, what crappy rhetoric from an atheist, a so-called atheist. I think he's going to be a Christian in about 6 months. Okay, because he's going to be a freedom fighter for God. The writing seems on the fucking wall, because he's turning into a lunatic, fundamentalist, dogmatic piece of puke. All right, enough of that fucktard. I really just got to stop listening to these assholes. All right, Cody. He put his outtakes from his book online, and the guy writes interesting. I mean, there's some, they're readable little phrases and sentences. He has a way with words, and it's not bad. It's not a bad way. So it's readable crap. And but it's really just, it's like a diagram of a train wreck or something. I mean, it's like this nice, you could make a short film about somebody who's in a plane crash, or, you know what I'm saying? You can make a whole movie about, like, the last 2 hours before a plane crash and what people were thinking and what they went through. Well, they do make movies like that. I mean, I think there's a John Wayne movie like that or something. And it's an interesting story. You get, it's compelling because you sort of see people's life runs before them, and he's sort of going through that experience. I mean, he's watching his life move before his eyes, kind of thing. He's being very introspective and very trying to find a perspective, trying to find a place to put all this stuff that happens. But it's really all emotional, and there's no point in, here's some fatherly advice. There's no point in doing that shit, but I'll just throw it in there for the hell of it. Holy shit, time. This is going to have to be a 10-parter. Really, sorry, 2-parter. I really didn't think I was doing that. I really went way over. So anyway, it's this whole, women, man thing, relationships thing, and the heartache and the heartbreak and all that crap. And it really sucks. I mean, the pain just sits there and it just gnaws at you. And the only thing you learn going through it is that, you gotta try to let go of anger. You can be frustrated and you can be disappointed with somebody else, but you gotta let go of hate and anger, because you're gonna be embarrassed later, and that's all. It's no big deal. You can be angry and hateful, but later on you're gonna reflect on it and you're gonna say to yourself, "Oh, wait a minute, I get it. I needed certain things, she needed certain things. The two things we needed weren't compatible." Isn't that complicated? And that she doesn't intend to hurt you. She didn't intend to stick knives in your heart or your brain or in your lower region. It's just the way it happens, because she had to do what she had to do for her needs, and you couldn't change enough of yourself to make her happy. And it's not it's a concession you have to make to reality. It's a practical fact. And you don't have to take it personally. You don't have to define it as a personal insult and a personal accusation of failure. It's just a personal recognition. All you got to do is just recognize that life is fucking difficult. It's not easy. You have to get lucky. You also have to engineer some of it. There's a lot to it. It just isn't. When it doesn't work, you can't just look for an obvious thing to blame. The blame is always going to be a little bit under the surface and a little bit complicated. So just let go of the hate crap and just try to just swallow hard now and then and just keep trying to walk forward and go somewhere positive. That's it. No more advice, though. Fuck that shit. Alright, that Rebbe guy made another video on Marxism, and, just completely fucked the issue. There's 2 parts, boring, couldn't be any more stale and dull and uninteresting. All the obtuse terminology. And he's sort of maligning the labor theory, Marxism. He's just he's looking at the wrong parts of it. He's looking at the 10% part rather than the 90% part. He's ignoring the substance and just dealing with detail that was, contingent on the time Marx lived in, and, so many things. And there's no point in criticizing a whole philosophical proposition by picking apart these little nuances of bullshit, and that's all he's depending on. But the basic Marxist idea is that labor produces value, that labor gets exploited by the holders of ownership. And that's just an obvious scenario, okay? The holders of ownership are not the ones producing the value in the economy. The laborers are producing the value, and that extra surplus, whatever gets gleaned out of that, is being extracted from the value of the labor. The laborers don't get to own that surplus value of their labor. Okay, the government gets to own it and the rich get to own it, but the laborer doesn't get to control any of that. So anyway, I won't get into that whole theory. I'll make videos on that subject that no one will watch, but they'll be brilliant, of course. And the phone rang, so I'll move on. Yeah, Stickam. Okay, Stickam was pretty good. It was really a relaxed kind of evening, not too much hard philosophy, but just some. I had to kick Everett's vlog, which I hated to do, but it's just impossible talking to these relativists. Everything's relative. They view the whole world based on what they feel. So if they don't feel warm and fuzzy towards apples, apples aren't warm and fuzzy. It's stupid. Philosophy is about the structure of the world we live in. We define things and we describe things, and some of those things are going to be universal to all human beings. And it's just nonsense to sit there and say that every human being has to somehow evolve a philosophy and they have to somehow incrementally make their own sensibilities, their psychology, somehow consistent with their rational philosophy, because that's not going to happen. Sometimes you do things out of principle, okay? I mean, I like meat personally. I like eating it personally. But I know I don't want to be a meat eater, so I will not eat meat. I mean, it's just that simple. Principles stop us from doing stupid things, or things we don't think are good for us or good for other people, even though they might make us feel good. We don't do them. And these stupid relativists keep trying to say that we're going to somehow contrive a human identity where our desires are going to be somehow consistent with the world we live in and doing the right thing. And that's just not going to happen. We have to discipline ourselves. That's why I invented the word discipline. It's because we have to discipline ourselves with our intellect. Quick add-on. I just wanted to thank Azranok and Butonic Nate and Buplonic, whatever, Nate and Pyro. Pyro's in the room. We had some argument there. And, yeah, Everett's vlog and the rest, sorry about the kicking thing. And, whatever, it's a good night, so just wanted to, of course, there was also the girls. Some girls showed up, and so, yeah, thanks, Karina and others. Thank you very much. Pleased me to have you in the room.